In this video,
You will know
and learn about the skeletal system and its components.
Skeletal system. The skeleton provides a strong internal framework that supports the body and provides protection for vital organs. These bones meet at the joints, the majority of which are freely movable, making the skeleton flexible and mobile. Now guys, let me introduce you the 19 parts of the skeletal system. We have mandible, clavicle, sternum, radius, ulna, humerus, rib, femur, and patella. And also we have the skull, cervical vertebrae, ilium, sacrum, ischium, tibia, fibula, scapula, thoracic vertebrae, and the last one, the lumbar vertebrae. And now let's find out its definitions and functions of each parts. The first one is the mandible. So mandible is the largest and strongest bone in the face. It forms the lower part of the jaw and part of the mouth. The mandible is the only movable bone of the skull and is attached to muscles involved in chewing and other mouth movements. It also holds the bottom teeth in place and called lower jaw bone. Next is the clavicle or collar bone. It's a slender S-shaped long bone approximately 6 inches long that serves as strut between the shoulder blade and the sternum. Now we have the sternum. The sternum is a partially T-shaped vertical bone that forms the anterior portion of the chest wall centrally. And we have the radius. Radius is the thicker and shorter of the two long bones in the forearm. It's located on the lateral side of the forearm parallel to the ulna. In anatomical position with arms hanging at the side of the body, palms facing forward between the thumb and the elbow. Next is the ulna, the bone on the little finger side of the human forearm that forms with the humerus and elbow joint and serve as a pivot in rotation of the hand. Also, we have the humerus. Humerus is a long bone of the upper arm. It is one of the longest bones in the body, which makes it more prone to fractures upon impact. The word humerus comes from the Latin word for upper arm. Next, we have the rib. Ribs are strong and flexible, and they form a kind of protective cage around our soft inside parts. Next is the femur. Your thigh bone is the longest and strongest bone in your body. Because the femur is so strong, it usually takes a lot of force to break it. Patella. The patella is the largest sesamoid bone in the human body and is located anterior to knee joint within the tendon of the quadriceps femoris muscle, providing an attachment point for both the quadriceps tendon and the patellar ligament. Now let's move to the skull, the bones that form the head. The skull is made up of cranial bones, bones that surround and protect the brain, and facial bones, bones that form the eye sockets, form the nose, cheeks, jaw, and other parts of the face. Next is the cervical vertebrae. The cervical vertebrae are the 7 cylindrical bones or vertebral bodies, C1 to C7, that provide support and structure for the cervical spine. Next, we have the sacrum. Sacrum, a triangular bone in the lower back formed from fused vertebrae and situated between the two hip bones of the pelvis. Next, we have the ischium. Ischium is a paired bone of the pelvis that forms the lower and back part of the hip bone, as well as the posterior and inferior boundary of the obturator foramen. Now let's move to tibia. Tibia and fibula are the two long bones located in the lower leg. The tibia is a larger bone on the inside and the fibula is the smaller bone on the outside. The tibia is much thicker than the fibula. It is the main weight-bearing bone of the two. Now next is the scapula, also called shoulder blade, either of two large bones of the shoulder girdle and vertebrates. In humans, they are triangular and lie on the upper back between the levels of the second and eighth ribs. Now let's move on to the thoracic vertebrae. Are the 12 vertebral segments, thoracic 1 to thoracic 12, that make up the thoracic spine. These structures have very little motion because they are firmly attached to the ribs and sternum. Lastly, the lumbar vertebrae consist of 5 individual cylindrical bones that form the spine in the lower back. These vertebrae carry all the upper body's weight while providing flexibility and movement to the trunk region. They also protect the delicate spinal cord and nerves within the vertebral canal.
Function of skeletal system. Work as a support structure for your body and it gives the body its shape, allows movement, make blood cells, provide protection for your organs and store minerals. And there are two kinds of skeletal system function. The first one is psychological function. Psychological function provides a site for blood formation, play a role in our immune system, and serve as storehouse for calcium, which is essential for nerve conduction. And the second one is structural function. Structural function support the body, protect the delicate organs, and bones are rigid lever of locomotion.
Structural functions. First, give support to the body. Without our bones, we wouldn't be able to do things such as dancing, walking, running, or swimming. Next, it protects the delicate body organs in the body. The skeletal system supports the body and guards the brain, heart, lungs, and other soft and fragile internal organs. Lastly, bones are rigid levers of locomotions. Bones, ligaments, and muscles are the structures that form levers in the body to create human movement. So those are the structural functions and its example.
The skeleton is divided into two groups, appendicular skeleton and axial skeleton. Appendicular skeleton is composed to a lower and upper extremity. Extremity means limb of body. Upper extremity is the bones that include humerus or upper arm, radius, ulna or forearm, and hand. While lower extremity are area that between your hip and your leg, considering your leg as the area between your knee and legs. Axial skeleton is composed by skull, ribs, trunk, vertebral column, and pelvic. Hormonal status, and activity level. Heredity is the genetic heritage passed down by our biological parents. Nutritional status, obesity, overweight, underweight, and short stature. While hormonal status are adrenaline, like menopause. Activity level, it describes the intensity of an activity.
Kinds of muscle fiber. Muscles are the extracorporeal cells. They are the major contributor to human movement. Muscles are used to hold the position, to raise or lower a body part, to slow down a fast-moving segment, and to generate great speed in the body or in an object that is propelled on the air. The muscles only have the ability to pull and create the motion because it crosses a joint. The tension is developed by the muscles applying compressions to the joint, enhancing their stability. In some joint position, however, the tension generated by the muscles can act to pull the segment apart and create instability. Okay, muscle tissues properties. So there are 4 properties of muscle tissues. First, we have irritability.
It is the ability to respond to stimulus, for example, quick annoyance, frustration, confusion, and difficulty concentrating. Second, we have contractility, the ability of the muscles to generate tension and shorten when it receives sufficient stimulation. So I have here one example of contractility, the isometric contraction. So the picture shows the muscles with no movement and muscles with movement. Third, we have extensibility. It is the muscle's ability to lengthen or stretch beyond the resting length. So I have a picture here that shows extensibility. Okay, the ability to extend or stretch beyond resting length. And lastly, elasticity, the ability of the muscle fiber to return to its resting length after the stretch is removed.
Functions of muscles. Skeletal muscles perform a variety of different functions, all of which are important to efficient performance of human body. The three functions relating specifically to human movement are contributing to the production of skeletal movement, assisting in joint stability and maintaining posture and body positioning. First one is produced movement. Skeletal movement is created as muscles actions generate tensions that are transferred to the bone. The resulting movement are necessary for locomotion and other mental manipulations. Second is maintain postures and positions. Muscles actions of a lesser magnitude are used to maintain postures. This muscle's activity is continuous and results in small adjustment as the head is maintained in position and the body weight is balanced over the feet. Third one is stabilized joints. Muscle actions also contribute significantly to the stability of the joint. Muscle tensions are generated and applied across the joints via the tendons, providing stability where they cross the joints. In most joints, especially the shoulder and the knee, the muscles spanning the joint via the tendons are among the primary stabilizers. Other functions. Muscle supports and protect the visceral organs and protect the internal tissues from injuries. Tension is the muscle tissues can after and control pressures within the cavities. Skeletal muscles contribute to the maintenance of body temperature by producing heat.
Hope that you've learned something from this video.
That's
all! Bye!
Da 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 da. Your turn. Very good. Ladies.
Bones, we wouldn't be able to the things, to do things.